When I first booted up Rogue Trader, I wasn't sure what to expect. I've dabbled in 40k before, mostly through the tabletop and a few Dawn of War games, but this was my first deep dive into the lore-heavy, dialogue-driven side of the universe. And within an hour, I was absorbed in the game's world. The writing, the weight of your decisions, the sheer scale of everything. It just felt different. Like someone handed me a star map and said, "You break it, you bought it." Rogue Trader by Owlcat Games might just be the most accessible way to dive headfirst into the towering cathedral of lore that is Warhammer 40,000, as well as one of the best isometric games in recent memory. Whether you're a die-hard 40k veteran or someone who couldn't tell a bolter from a lasgun, this game does an exceptional job of inviting you into the Imperium's cold, brutal beauty, without sacrificing the depth longtime fans crave. Developed in close partnership with Games Workshop, Rogue Trader offers a rare and refreshing thing, a CRPG where your power fantasy comes baked into the premise. You're a Rogue Trader, a sanctioned privateer with a warrant of trade, a piece of paper signed by the Emperor himself that basically says, do what you want, as long as it's in the name of the Imperium. That means command over void ships, the right to explore uncharted systems, and the authority to bring whole worlds into compliance, or burn them to the ground. From its very first act in the Quaranus Expanse, the game thrusts you into a vast, morally complex world, where decisions aren't just flavor text, they shape entire star systems. Owlcat's talent for meaningful choice and consequence, already proven in the Pathfinder games, is fully on display here. Every choice feels weighty, from deciding the fate of a planet to choosing whether to allow heretical tech on board your vessel. Combine that with a wide cast of companions, including a hulking space marine, a deadly Eldari ranger, a fervent sister of battle, and now the grim Adeptus Arbits lawman, Solomorn Anthar, and you've got one of the most varied party rosters in modern RPGs. The combat is fully turn-based and isometric, with deep mechanics that reward planning and clever use of positioning. It's slower than some real-time with pause systems, but far more deliberate and satisfying once you understand the toolkit. Add in the recently implemented 6-player co-op mode, and there's an entirely new dimension of tactical play, and chaos when you bring your friends along. When I first heard Lex was introducing the Adeptus Arbites, I thought, cool, future cops, that sounds like a lighthearted addition. Then I met Solomorn Anthar, and I swear this guy's never smiled once in his life. He makes Judge Dredd look like a party clown. But the real MVP? The Cyber Mastiff. I gave him a name, Gregor. Gregor doesn't care about your feelings. Gregor bites first and asks questions never. He once tore through a group of Chaos cultists before I even took my first turn. I'm not sure if I'm playing Rogue Trader or Warhammer 40,000. Gregor's day out. And speaking of additions, Rogue Trader is only getting better. The Void Shadows DLC, the game's first major expansion, was hit with fans, hailed as one of Owlcat's best post-launch efforts. Now Lex Imperialis, the second DLC, arrives to keep that momentum rolling. This expansion focuses on Imperial law and order, if such a thing can be said to exist in 40k. The spotlight is on the Adeptus Arbites, incorruptible enforcers who bring the Emperor's justice with bolt gun and cyber mastiff. Solomorn Anthar, their stern representative, joins your crew as a new companion, and he doesn't come alone. Expect battle familiars like cyber eagles and mastiffs to shake up your tactical options in cool new ways. Lex Imperialis adds not just content but flavor, shining a light on one of the lesser explored factions of the Imperium. Its storytelling is dense and atmospheric. The new missions are smartly designed, and the philosophical clash between the Rogue Trader's freedom and the Arbites' rigid order adds fresh drama to your campaign. It's a brilliant thematic fit, and it makes you think, something 40k doesn't always get credit for. This video is sponsored by Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader, but as always, all thoughts are my own, and I've spent dozens of hours in the game to bring you an honest take. Combat clicked with me surprisingly fast. I'm usually hit or miss with turn-based systems, but Rogue Traders keep it punchy. Every action feels impactful, especially once I started tailoring my squad around synergies. My go-to was pairing the Sister of Battle with the Space Marine, and watching them just steamroll heretics, while my Psyker caused chaos from the back line. It's crunchy in the best way. What really caught me off guard was how exploratory the game is. Not just one quest marker to the next. You're charting unknown space, landing on uncharted planets, making calls that reshaped the political landscape. One moment I was negotiating trade deals, and next I was dealing with a possessed crew member mid-warp jump. It's the kind of game where even side quests spiral into major arcs, and I love that. Lex Imperialis added exactly what I didn't know I needed. I've always been fascinated by the Adeptus Arbites, these Judge Dredd-style enforcers of Imperial law, and now I finally get to work with one. Solomorn Anthar is such a mood. No nonsense, grim as hell, but strangely likable. But the Cybermastiff? I didn't think I'd care about bringing a metal dog into battle, but I'm never going back. I also tried out co-op with a few friends, and honestly, it's brilliant. The pacing slows down just enough to coordinate, and it's hilarious watching everyone argue over whether to execute a heretic or politely convert them. If you've got a regular group, this is one of those games that can become a weekly ritual.
Will do. What an unfortunate turn of fate.
If you're sitting on the fence, let me just say this. Rogue Trader is one of those rare games that keeps growing the more you put into it. It's deep, unforgiving at times, and unapologetically Warhammer. But even if you've never touched the universe before, it's a fantastic starting point. And with Lex Imperialis adding more content and 2 future expansions confirmed, you're not just buying a game, you're boarding a void ship that's still picking up steam. The base game already delivered an impressively deep CRPG set in the grimdark reaches of the Coronis Expanse. So what could possibly come next? As it turns out, bureaucracy, heresy, and the raw power of Imperial law. This expansion dives headfirst into the legal and judicial might of the Imperium, placing players in the moral and political furnace of making planetary decrees, declaring exterminus orders, and navigating the labyrinth doctrine of the Adeptus Arbites. Owlcat's goal wasn't just to add new content, it was to evolve the fantasy of being a rogue trader into something even more nuanced and dangerous. Internally, this DLC was codenamed Writ of Iron, a hint at its mechanical backbone, a full legal system overhaul. New mechanics allows players to wield or subvert Imperial law, altering the fate of entire systems with pen and parchment rather than plasma and bolter. This also meant building new dialogue trees, consequence branches, and political dynamics with factions like the Adeptus Mechanicus, Ecclesiarchy, and Inquisition all reacting to the player's judicial choices. Narratively, Owlcat brought in deeper Black Library consultation to get the tone just right. The expansion's writing team reportedly worked closely with lore advisors to balance canonical faithfulness with CRPG freedom. The result? An expansion where issuing a single writ can spark rebellion, trigger an investigation, or cement your dynasty's dominance across the stars. But this isn't all talk and parchment. Lex Imperialis brings with it new companions, planetary arcs, and legal warfare missions. Yes, actual combat scenarios built around enforcing or resisting Imperial law. There's even a new class archetype themed around Arbite's doctrine, allowing you to play judge, jury, and executioner. Literally. It's risky, ambitious, and deeply in tune with what makes 40,000 fascinating. Not just the war, but the ideology behind it. No better time to jump into the void. Rogue Trader is a game built for the long haul, a sprawling, ambitious CRPG that honors its tabletop roots while carving out a new space in digital storytelling. If you love deep role-playing, tough choices, and exploring a twisted galaxy full of danger and dark satire, Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader is essential. With Lex Imperialis, Owlcat Games proves they're not just maintaining the momentum, they're picking up speed.